And now in a week, if the child comes in, say to my office, and he sits down and he waits while I'm talking to the parents, sits on his chair and he waits, then he's ready for step 2. Between breakfast and lunch, you divide the time into 4. And lunch and dinner, you divide the time into 4. So throughout the day, it will be 8 times a day, and you will be only working with the child for just 2 minutes. You have a box of equipment that you make. You don't need to spend money. You use stuff that you have in the house. Things like, just cups like this, a piece of Rigifoam like that, empty soap dispenser, anything that you have there. You see, what you do is you take just one item and you get the child, say you put a little water there and you tell the child to pour the water into this and into this. And he has to do that for just 2 minutes. And then you know that he has concentration for 2 minutes. And if you feel he does not have concentration for 2 minutes, you can drop that time to 1 minute. And it has to be the same time at every session, and only one item at a time, not like this all over. That is following adult instruction. An adult is giving you an instruction of a simple task. Now say even if you have an empty water bottle, you remove the lid and put it in front, and the child puts it somewhere else, you don't use the word no ever. You said, that is not where I asked you to put it, this is where I asked you to put it. You see, and then put the lid back, just on top, because the child is not ready for screwing and unscrewing yet. We get them to do a simple task for 1 minute or 2 minutes to increase their attention span. You see, so gradually the attention span gets increased from 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and when it's 3 minutes, you see the number of times reduces and the time consumed by the child increases, because you are increasing the attention span. Because normally they have an attention span of 1 minute, that means that the child is hyperactive, or he doesn't even have an attention span of 1 minute. So you need to get him to work for 1 minute, then for 2 minutes, then for 3 minutes, but 3 minutes, then you use a slightly more complex item. It has to be very, very simple there, very simple here, slightly more complex there. Building blocks, uncolored building blocks are the best, because color is another concept which they have to learn, and they get confused with no color and color. So it's best to have plain wooden blocks like that where you build. You see, then the tower is the first one, or this is the next one. Lego is also colored, so we do not use the color, and also it has got a fixing mechanism, and you have to take it out, which requires a lot of hand control. So we have to quietly improve their hand control. I mean, you can use either play dough or make dough yourself with flour and water and a big pinch of salt, and then get them to squeeze into it, make it soft and squeeze into it. Then as they get more proficient, you make it harder, and then teach them to pull it and break it, and then roll it. So the activity becomes more and more complex as they develop. Every time you have to have a different item to work with the child. And you don't leave it like this. You put them all away and take the next one, so it's not confusing for the child. So you have only one item. Each task can be different. It's not the same task. You see, you don't have to have pouring water here, and pouring water here. You have pouring water here, you can have building blocks here, you can have play-doh here, or dough, even opening and closing bottles. So each task is different. So basically, when you're having 3 minutes, you should have separate tasks. And 2 minutes you have 8 tasks. And 1 minute too you have 8 tasks. This is how a child will go to school and learn to follow the instruction of a teacher. Often if they are not trained that way, the student tries to teach the teacher. All these activities that are being done is not really a game. You're playing with the child, it is a task, which means really it's like going to school and learning to read or write. When you go to 5 minutes, then it's only 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, so it's 4. This is 6 and this is 4. Then you will go only if the child is able to do it for 5 minutes. You do not move on if he can't. If he can't wait the 5 minutes, you drop it to 3 minutes. If he can't wait 3 minutes, you drop it to 2 minutes. Don't worry. And then you get back. If he is able to do it for 2 days, you can change it. And then when it's from 5, you can easily jump to 10. And then it's only 1 and 1. Then you jump from 10 to 15, and that's once a day. And this I would suggest that you do for about a week or 2 before you go into half an hour. A lot of parents make a huge mistake by getting children to sit at their school homework for hours. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. I mean, they can't do it. So just break it up into slots where it's easy for them. Then they have playtime, they come back, then they concentrate more and they're relaxed. You see, otherwise it's become, most of the time if you give them 1 hour or 2 hours, half the time they're sleeping and they're not concentrating on their work at all. Well, it all depends. I mean, some 4-year-olds have an attention span of very easily half an hour, 1 hour. You know at once that the child is hyperactive when he doesn't sit in one place. When you can sit in one place and work, even to play with sand or water or anything like that, you know that the child is not hyperactive. I mean, if they're willing to do it, it's a different thing, but you don't force them. These are really mainly for preschoolers. But I have 14-year-olds who come and they need these tasks, but they will move up very fast. They'll be able to do it, and then we go into matching colors, shapes, reading, writing. Once they are working on 15 minutes or half an hour, then they're ready for kind of therapy, you know, where an occupational therapist will work with them. Or they have special education classes, or they don't even need that if they can easily fit into the school that they are going to and do not hassle the teacher. Then they continue in that same way. Then schooling, then the next step is how we introduce number, color. After they have all this, and then they are going into more educational work. Then we introduce color. Then we introduce number, and we can even introduce a reading scheme, and then pre-writing methods.